Hello, my name is Margo Eugenio. I am a junior here at Lamar University. I am majoring in English on the teacher certification track, and I've just completed my OUR sponsored project, The Impact of School Choice on Standardized Test Scores and the Achievement Gap. Before I get into the findings and results of my project, I first want to talk about my experience with the Office of Undergraduate Research and, conducting my research projects. Before I even submitted my proposal to do research, I was very firm in that I was never going to do research at Lamar. I didn't really know that research could be conducted in my field of education, as well as I just thought that I wasn't smart enough. I didn't know enough. Um, However, after listening to, Dr. Bareem talk about the research opportunities at Lamar and listening to my mentor, Dr. Singh, talk about her experience with research, to say my interest was piqued would be an understatement. Um, you know, it was probably about a week before the submission deadline when I decided to pursue research. I got everything together. I wrote up the proposal and I sent it to my wonderful, wonderful mentor, Dr. Singh, who gave me so much of her time and advice, truly perfecting this proposal. And, luckily, and it was approved. So, moving into the project, I was still very hesitant. I didn't know what the research process was, what all it entailed. And, I was very nervous that I wasn't going to be able to fulfill the requirements of this project. But as I said, I'm very lucky in that I had an amazing mentor in Dr. Singh who, taught me the research project and, taught me where do we start, where do we go, and what is our end goal. I'm also very lucky in that the Office of Undergraduate Research provides so many resources for students like me who have never done research to learn about the process. My project was solely based on literature review. And before this process, I had never heard of the term literature review. And whilst I could probably take a good stab at what it was and what it entailed, I didn't really know where to begin. And luckily, the Department of Undergraduate Research held a talk over, how to conduct a good quality literature review, and I attended, and it was so insightful. This department and is so helpful and so willing to educate students who do participate. I was deterred at first because I didn't think that I was smart enough to conduct research, and I didn't know enough about research to do a project. But, luckily, Lamar University has amazing faculty who are willing to help and educate. So, I am very lucky in that regard. And, because of everyone's willingness to help me, I absolutely fell in love with research. I know it sounds a bit cliche, but truly it is a newfound passion. I'm very lucky to be able to take what I'm learning in my classes and, further that knowledge and, implement that knowledge in a more real world setting. It truly, I, through this project, I fell in love with research. I'm actually about to start my summer undergraduate research project. So, to say that it is a newfound love. Again, it's an understatement. Um, so yeah, I'm very, very lucky um, to have worked with my mentor, Dr. Singh, and to have worked with the Office of Undergraduate Research. They have some amazing people working with them that have just been so helpful and so kind. So, yeah, that's a little bit about my experience with research and with my project. So, now let's get into the findings of my project. As I mentioned, my project researched the impact of school choice on standardized test scores and the achievement gap. Before I get into the findings of my research, it's important to note a couple things. One is, what is school choice? School choice is a program that allows students to pursue education options outside of their neighborhood public schools. So that includes your charter schools, your private schools, your Montessori schools, among others options. The second important aspect to note is the achievement gap. The achievement gap is the disparity in academic performance between specified groups of students, most notably students from high income versus low income households. So now that we understand those two important aspects, let's get into the findings. So we did find that school choice programs had a positive and significant impact on test scores. More specifically, career and technical education schools had a positive impact on language arts and math scores. Charter schools as well had a considerable and beneficial impact on math and language arts schools. Students who attended private schools scored higher overall on all academic examinations. So my second finding was in relation to the achievement gap. So unfortunately, these programs have a significant negative impact on the achievement gap. This is because the families that are attending school choice have a higher socioeconomic background. So as a result, these students continue to excel and benefit from the resources in these school choice programs, while students who are unable to afford these schools, who have a lower socioeconomic background, continue to be underserved. And that's when you see a widening of the achievement gap. So what does it all mean? As I mentioned, I conducted this research project to kind of further my knowledge of education. I truly went into this project wanting to better understand how I could support education, more specifically public education. However, supporting public education is no small feat. It truly means supporting policies that ensure equitable access to resources, policies that establish need-based funding programs that better support schools who are underserved. Supporting public education, is a direct translation to supporting families who come from a lower economic background. Without the proper support, these families continue to be victims of systematic generational poverty. As I conclude this research project, I truly believe that more research needs to be done in this field to further assess the impact these programs are having on not only test scores and the achievement gap, but also the economic implications of these programs should be researched. And as I conclude this video, I just want to again give my gratitude to my mentor, Dr. Singh, as well as the Office of Undergraduate Research Department, Dr. Bareem, Miss Jenna. I truly had a team of people who, you know, truly just worked, you know, tirelessly in order to help me and other students succeed. So thank you so much.